Today we're going to talk about how 26 cents cost my client over 200 points on their credit score. Yeah, 26 cents, 200-point hit. This is very important. I said it twice because I know there's people that are like, wait, what? How can your credit get trashed over 26 cents? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome to Money Monday and story time. So cozy up, grab a blanket, a mug of hot cocoa, maybe something to make you feel safe because I'm gonna tell you the story of credit nightmares. Okay, so here we go. Janet, names have been changed to protect the identities. Janet was like the perfect client. When we did her pre-approval, her credit score was 800. It was amazing. Tons of money in the bank, stable income, and credit that showed long-term history of perfection. A++, right? Now, there's certain parts of the country where it can take a very long time to find a house. So it's not uncommon that someone gets pre-approved and then we don't hear from them for a while. We send in check-in emails and everything else, but no lender should be running your credit without permission. So we're not running credit during this time unless the client's actively reaching out, because that would actually be a huge problem because you can't run people's credit without their permission. Okay, so Janet comes back to us and she's like, I finally found a house. And we're like, yay, Janet, we know you've waited so long. And we're like, cool, let's just run your credit. We'll get everything going. We're excited for you. Let's do this. We pull her credit. Oh my God, it was a 580. A 580, 800 to 580. And I look at it and I'm like, what? I'm like, Janet, did you lose your job? Like, what happened? She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you have like 32 lates on one credit card and the balance is like $20. What is going on? What? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand. You're paying everything else, but you're not paying one card. Why are you not paying this card? Because I'm like, what is going on here? Like, did Janet, lots of things can happen in people's lives. And I'm like, what did I miss? And she's like, send it to me. Okay. So we send her a copy of her credit report for her review. And well, here's what happened. So Janet, being the great, proactive, I don't want any debt person, she had paid off this credit card. So she got the bill, it said she owed XYZ. She wrote a check for XYZ to pay it off, okay? Then, about a month later, she gets a bill from this credit card for 26 cents. And she's like, what is this? This must be a mistake on their part. I paid this off. She ignores the bill. So then she gets another one for 36 cents, and it keeps on growing. And she's like, when are they going to fix their system? This is so silly. Like, why are they chasing me down for less than a stamp? I paid this off. So she doesn't reach out to them to figure out what's going on because she just assumes it's an error, as many people do and would, because we see this more often than you guys would think. People get bills from credit cards or whatever and they're like, this is wrong, and they just don't pay it. And we see this especially with medical stuff. Well, here's the problem. She actually did owe the 26 cents. Yeah, because what no one takes into consideration is when you get that bill, right? They make the amount the bill's due for, but interest is still accruing. Between the time that bill goes out, you pay it and it gets back to them, interest is still accruing. So unless you're calling a credit card company or whoever you hold the debt with and getting an actual payoff, if you just write the amount due on the bill, that is not going to pay it off. You are going to get a follow-up bill. So in this case, what could she do? They're not going to take it off her credit report because it's true. She did owe money. She did fail to pay the money. She was hosed. I mean, it took her over 2 years to get her score back to like a high level. Not 800, but a decent enough level to get where she wanted to go. And it was all over 26 cents. Now, she called this credit card and said, guys, you just ruined my credit over 26 cents. Did they care? No. No, because the way it works is that if you owe them money, they have to report that you are not paying them, no matter how trivial or stupid the amount is. And I hear this a lot. I hear like, oh, it was like a Comcast collection for $20. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, whatever, I'm not paying this. That is the worst thing you guys can ever do. So there's two big takeaways from this. And oh my God, poor Janet, right? Okay, number one key takeaway. If you are gonna pay something off, get a payoff. Okay? Or if you don't get a payoff, when you get the next bill, right? Like let's say you owe $1,000 to XYZ. So you write a check for $1,000 and then they bill you for 10 cents. Write them a check for $10. That's what I do. Whenever I'm trying to pay something off to close it, I am always writing a check bigger than the amount due, because then that is covering the interest. I would rather have them owe me money than me owe them money. And you know, it's as little as $10 in many cases. You know, of course it depends on the size of the debt. So whenever you get those bills, realize, yes, if a lender or a credit card or someone is sending you a bill, they legitimately feel that you owe them this money and you legitimately need to pay it, or else they can legitimately ruin your credit. Yes. Now, if you think something's truly wrong, call the creditor. Never assume that any company is going to magically realize their error on your behalf. It doesn't happen. Like, it would be great if companies were like altruistic, looking for their mistakes, but from what I see on people's credit reports, that is not happening. No. So you have to be, you know, really on top of, in control, all over your credit, because there is no one backing you. There isn't. Like, there's been, I mean, Google what's going on with the credit bureaus. Like, it all falls on the consumer to prove that stuff is wrong. It's messed up, but it's true. So you get a bill, you're going to pay it. If you're trying to pay something off, you're going to pay more. If you get a second bill, you're just going to pay more, right? Have them write you a check back. That's the way to go. That's the way I always do it. Number two, credit monitoring is a good thing. There are so many free ways to monitor your credit right now that there's no excuse to not realize that you have an issue. Now, in Janet's defense, this did happen, you know, it was a couple years ago, so it wasn't like we didn't have as much great credit monitoring as we have now, but every single major credit card has CreditWise or, gosh, I don't know all the names of them, but I know that on my credit cards, they're constantly telling me like, Jen, your score went up. Jen, your score went down. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? So there's no excuse to not know if your credit score is going down. So I hope this video has been very, very helpful. And if you have questions or comments, as always, leave them. But the key thing, if you get a bill in the mail, pay it. No matter how stupid it is, pay it. Pay it and then argue it. Your credit is so precious and it's so hard to fix once it gets messed up. Thanks for watching.